Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the Man Knows Hip Hop podcast. I don't even know what episode this is, bro. Like I've lost track now.
11, man.
Episode 11. Wow.
Mm.
Shit. Okay, so episode 11 of the Man Knows Hip Hop podcast with me, your boy Slack, and my co-host extraordinaire.
E major, the hair, man.
Yeah,
Again,
man. So 11 weeks is like near enough 3 months worth of fire material that we've been dropping on you, man.
it's
So
been good, man.
yeah, man, for real. So last week we hit you off with a couple of reviews, so I hope you check those out, and we'll hit you off with some more of those because there's a few drops coming like before the end of the year, so we'll definitely drop a few more of those. But today we're gonna have some fun. So we picked the topic today of just some of the wildest shit that we've that we've seen on Twitter. So this was based off the back of one of my tweets I put up a while ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we had some interesting responses, some definite reaches for attention. Some of you need some hugs and some love. But yeah, man, we're gonna have some fun with it today. So we're gonna just run through a couple of the wildest shit that we've that we've seen on that godforsaken app regarding hip hop takes. So I think you picked five of the
Yeah, man.
wildest hip hop takes that you've seen,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I picked five, and then we've got three of our own. So feel free to argue with us. Feel free to tell us that you don't agree with us. We'll tell you right back we don't agree with you either, and it's all good. So man, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, man. So welcome again, episode number 11, man. I forgot the whole tag, man. Forgive me, man. Man knows hip hop, the podcast that celebrates and knows hip hop. I
That's the
saw
man.
Slack looking at me like, "Hey, bro, should you be saying something?" Bro? Left my mind, bro. I'm here, man. We're here, episode 11. But yeah, like you said, man. You put your tweet out, boy. It must have been a couple months ago now.
Yeah, it's a
It
while
went
ago.
it went bananas, man. It done numbers. The response that you were getting, some were, like you said, some were probably a clickbaity. Some are really interesting. Some we agreed with. Do you know what I mean? But I thought it'd be
Mm,
fun today just to have a look at that. And in no way, let's just say this as a disclaimer. This isn't to diss any of the people because some of the people we're cool with, man. We like them a lot. So it's not a diss of any of the people. That's why I don't mention any handles or anything like that. We're just pulling out random, not reviews, comments. Sorry,
mm.
controversial comments, and we thought we'd chop it up a bit. So all right. So I'll kick off, man. So disclaimer, the first five we're looking at, well, first 10, five each, is going to be ones that we've taken out from Slack's tweet. Okay, so someone put, when speaking hip hop groups, Wu-Tang Clan ain't even top five. That was one of the ones that I pulled out and said, wow, okay. So, Slack, what's your thoughts on that?
Just end the podcast now, man.
Let me press end, man.
Just end it now, man, because that's just fucking ridiculous. Like, where do you even begin from? I mean, look at what the Wu has given to hip hop. Not just music. Method Man is in movies now, uh, and we're talking what 30 odd years after the Wu. We would never have got Cuban Links. We would never have got Iron Man. We would never have got 36 Chambers.
Mm.
We would never have got Ghost Dog, the Wu Tang game, the tattoos, the murals, Wu wear. There ain't a group that's touching Wu, and their group material is sketchy.
See, this is what does it, I think. Mm.
The group albums is sketchy, but let's be real, man. There's no way you're keeping nine people together in harmony
Mm.
or at all times. Like real hustlers, as some of them were, just like from the. There's no way you're keeping them happy. Like, nah, there's no way. So there's gonna be there's gonna be some hiccups here and there.
Mm.
But for the main, I think if you take into account their solo stuff, like they're some of the best solo albums in hip hop.
Mm. No doubt, man.
Um,
Definitely. 100.
so there's just without the Wu man, just so much wouldn't have happened. If you remove the Wu Tang Clan from hip hop, can you think of the amount of stuff that we wouldn't have?
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have
Exactly.
people try to replicate RZA and the whole drumless beats and the kung fu samples. Like no one was doing that before him. The dusty sound, the unfinished kind of beats that people are trying to replicate to this day, and they can't do it like him. Like nobody can do RZA like RZA used to do. I don't even think RZA can do RZA anymore.
That's a good point.
If you put him in the studio now, it's like make me some 93 36 chamber stuff. He ain't gonna know like what he ain't gonna be able to do it because there's only one RZA, bro. So for like, what group are you putting over Wu? Like, you can say I prefer a group's music, but as far as influence, classic albums, impact, their impact was incredible,
and it's insane.
Like, there's been nothing like it ever, group wise. There's been nothing like the Wu-Tang. I was alive in '93, and I was watching Yo MTV Raps when they did their first ever interview. So I'm guessing whoever said that is a kid who wasn't around for when they just blew everything up. From 92, I think, is when Protect Your Neck came out.
Yeah, I think on the back end of 92.
The album, innit? So it might have been really early 93, late 92. So from then, and then the run until 97, at least when Wu-Tang Forever came out, those years, 93, 94, 95, 96, and 97, he gave you classic albums
in each year. Exactly.
Like, who's done that?
No.
And he produced all of it, minus a few tracks that True Master and Mathematics did. He was one person spearheading all of those beats, creating different sounds for each member, and they're not one of the top 5 of all time. Impossible.
That don't. I mean, anyone who knows me knows how I feel about Wu. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna say it, bro. Obviously, this is a podcast. We're sharing our opinions and that. Like you said, feel free to disagree. I think Wu-Tang has put in the best thing that's happened to hip hop. Do you know what I mean? For me personally, I've got no problem with disagreeing. But when you say to me like, Wu ain't top 5, like you mentioned at the top of what you're talking about, when people are going to start looking at the group albums, I've heard people say Wu-Tang's got like maybe two good group albums and that's it. You know what? I can't even really argue with that too tough. I could, but I don't know if I have the energy to, because I can see people's point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're going to turn around and say 36 and Forever and the rest are, you can live without them. Okay. I think that's where sometimes it comes when people say they ain't that good as a group. Today on the timeline, bro, I saw someone say, if you look at Wu-Tang, all the lyricists in Wu-Tang, they're not even like that good rappers kind of thing. They're not like top 10 material individually. So I think Wu gets a lot of stick when you think about it because of how much they're praised in it. But when you're looking at Wu-Tang, what they've given us, that's come out of their camp. I do believe Wu-Tang is a group. Obviously, we're going to do episodes on crews and posses and all that. Some people say Wu-Tang's a posse, it's not a group. Obviously, you've got your Wu-Tang affiliates and all of that, but Wu-Tang Clan are a hip-hop group. They
came in as a group.
Right.
They came in with 9 people.
Right. They were
in a group called the Wu-Tang Clan, and they separated after they did the initial albums. And
that's key. That's key. If they came in individually, like or even if like 50 come and done his thing or whatever, then you got your other G Unit members coming in, G Unit album, whatever. You're always going to look at them as sort of individual people that come together as a crew, even though I know they were a street crew before things started dropping. The point I'm making is, like you said, we came in as a group. Do you know what I mean? And then branched off and done their solo stuff. We are a group.
I mean, they did have solo stuff before we, like RZA had a little.
I mean, EP, and RZA
had an album.
Yeah, of course.
That wasn't like
the
that
Wu
wasn't
we know.
To do with Wu-Tang. Like there was no Wu-Tang in there. Do you know what I mean?
That was RZA and RZA doing something. Yeah, but the Wu we know are a group, and to say they're not top 5 with what's stemmed out of who they are and what they've given us, even if they only gave us 36 and Forever. You look at a group like NWA, people will turn around and say NWA's top 10, top 5, whatever group, right? And you may say, why is that then? Because of the 2 albums they gave us. Some people may even say, well, the one, because the second one ain't heralded like Straight Outta Compton is, even though it is good, of course.
I think it's better than Straight Outta Compton, musically.
Yeah, I've heard a few people say that, actually, and the writing on it, obviously, there's growth in it and stuff like that, because I think, obviously, Ren was a bit more involved in the writing and different situations. But
Dre was doing the beats, like so
kind of like a Hell on Earth. I mean, I prefer Straight Outta Compton, but kind of like a Hell on Earth and Infamous. You can see the growth in the Hell on Earth. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost one of those ones with that. But you got two albums that were impactful from NWA, and obviously the impact they've had on the culture on the whole. A lot of people will say they're top 5, top 10 hip hop groups. Do you know what I mean? How can Wu-Tang not be? Do you know what I'm saying?
There's no, even if you said like you prefer Outkast or you prefer EPMD or Mobb Deep, you prefer, fine, but there's no Mobb Deep tattoos. There's no like, they just Mobb Deep made great music. Like I'm one of Mobb Deep's biggest fans from Infamous onwards. First 3 albums are classics, like in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion. You can literally play those 3 albums back to back without skipping a tune. Like that's how amazing those 3 albums are. So they're very high up on my list. EPMD, their first 4 albums, I could play all of those all the way through. You can hear the influence, the impact, the bucket hats, them selling gold when hip hop wasn't selling, them kind of numbers. Like all these guys had massive impact, but Wu-Tang's impact on the culture that we have today, even on the MCs that are rapping today, will tell you I was influenced by Wu-Tang. So there's just, what other crew is coming with 9 members? All of them had their own. D12 tried it, and that shit did not work at all.
And but once again, though, that's off the strength for Eminem, though, isn't it? He came in as a solo, the big star, then tried to do his thing with D12.
Exactly.
I know we've already established the
Lunatics, Ludacris with the stuff, like they all had their little. Oh, I've made it, so I'm gonna bring my crew, and I'm gonna.
Which is cool, but yeah.
Cameron with the Diplomats, like there's been loads of that, but the Wu-Tang is a different level to all of that shit, all of it. None of them can compare to what the Wu-Tang brought to.
And they're all dope, bro. Let's be honest. I mean, I know like maybe Master Killer and You God.
Master Killer is at the bottom. Actually dope, man. Master Killer is actually dope. Like I clown around on Twitter and stuff, and
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
but Master Killer is like I think he actually was dropping some shit on Wu-Tang Forever. Like I honestly believe people don't listen to music, man. I honestly believe people just skip through. Master Killer had some verses on Wu-Tang Forever. His solo albums, he's got some dope. What was it? No Said Date is dope. Loyalty is Royalty is dope. Like Master Killer is no slouch at all. But he's
carry on talking, bro.
Yeah, he's just quiet. So I think people just, the only one I'd say that I don't really love is probably You God, but I don't dislike You God. So to have 9 people, 9 completely different styles. No worries, bro. 9 completely different styles. Like every one of their albums sounded different to each other.
Yeah.
Bro, come on, man. Come on. Like no one's repeating that ever. That's never been replicated, bro. Never. Whatever these people try, never are you touching what Wu-Tang accomplished, man. So there's no way you can tell me they're not top 5. I'm not into doing lists and all that shit, as you know. But
yeah.
When we're talking Wu, come on, man. Like common sense in it. That's what I think.
We need them, man.
Literally.
What they done for hip hop, man.
Wu-Tang at the time, bro. There was nothing like it. Nothing.
No. I mean, even on a personal level, I mean, my favorite hip hop album of all time, Only Beautiful Cuban Links. My 3rd favorite rapper of all time, Ghostface Killer. Even in my top 10 favorite hip hop albums of all time, there's 3 Wu-Tang albums in there. That's 30%. Do you know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
So for me, I don't know, it's not all about me, but for me personally, that would make no sense to me because I'm just.
But if you expand that out, and you say to loads of people, what are your top 10, top 15? They're gonna have Liquid Swords. They're gonna have Obi Forcia. They're gonna have 36 Chambers. They're gonna have Wu-Tang albums in the Supreme Clientele. They'll probably dash that one in there as well. Wu albums, bro. It goes without saying.
Many classics in the camp as well, man. Just from the camp, so many classics. Do you know what I mean? Even as a group, they got 2 classic albums at least as a group. So even if we're not talking about affiliates, I mean, literally as a group, they got 2 classic albums. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And look at the influence of Cuban Links. How many artists have tried to replicate that Coke, that Mafia, Coke kind of shit that Raekwon and Ghost was on that album. They started that. I mean, Cool G Rap was on his mafioso stuff as well, but they took that to like they made
Shout
it
out
theirs.
to Cool G.
Right, big up to Cool G, man. Definitely, like, yeah. If I was doing lists, he's in the top 5, man. He's incredible.
100%.
Yeah, bro. So there's no way, man. No way they could be left out, in my opinion. So yeah, that's
agreed, man.
Take for me.
Agreed. So what did you see? What's your first one?
Oh man. Okay, so the majority of positive rap is garbage, and that's why it doesn't sell.
The majority of positive rap is garbage. Okay.
So let's break that down. Let's break that down a little bit. What's positive rap, bro? What is positive rap?
Positive rap.
I mean, we've got rap where people are talking about being proud to be black. Is that trash? Is that trash to you? Being proud to be black, being proud of your heritage, being proud of where you come from, being proud of your culture. Is that trash? Interesting.
Exactly.
Maybe hip hop ain't the genre for you if you think that's trash, but okay. If you only listen to rap to hear people shoot each other on records,
that's what I was gonna say. They're probably
sell drugs on records. Then you're not really the kind of person I would spend any kind of time with, because that's just ignorant as far as I'm concerned. And to label everything, to try and put positive rap under one kind of thing on its own is bullshit. Like how could you say like positive rap is a subgenre of hip hop?
Yeah, what is it? I don't even.
What is it?
So there's negative rap and positive rap.
Rapper? Like, what are you talking about? Because
unless they mean conscious rap
tune on the album, and then he could be killing you on track 2 on the same album. So what does positive rap mean? That one stood out to me as bullshit, and it kind of annoyed me as well. That it was coming from a black person saying positive rap is trash. That was just very suspect to me. So yeah, that one got my vote.
I mean, even if they mean, I may be wrong. Obviously, I don't know what their thoughts are, but even if they mean, because I've never heard anyone say positive rap. The only thing I can assume they mean is conscious rap. Do you know what I mean? Conscious hip hop. Even if that is what they're talking about, yeah, that makes no sense to me, because I think it's like people want to take hip hop and just make it this one thing. Hip hop, not to sound corny or whatever, but hip hop it literally is a lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a culture.
Do you know what I mean? It's a culture. And when I always big up people like DMX and Tupac, as I've said a million times, the reason why is because I feel they portray humanity well. Because on one side of things, they want to murder a man. On the next side of things, it's vulnerability and passion and pain. Do you know what I mean? And some people may turn around and say that's double-minded or double standards or hypocrisy or contradictory. Nah, it's not. It's how many times do you wake up one day, walk into work, and you're like, more than everyone. Next day you might walk in and bro, like you're like, no one talked to me, man. It's not that you're unstable, it's that life has that effect on you, innit? It affects you in different ways. So with hip hop, man, you can have what you may deem as your negative. You may have your gangster rap or whatever. But there's always room for consciousness. I'm not even going to say positive rap because that makes no sense to me. But there's always room for uplifting hip hop. There's always room, and it's who's giving it to us. I know we always talk about Little Brother a lot, but it's not just them. But there's people that are lyrically gifted. Do you know what I mean? That don't need to swear. Look at someone like Method Man who chooses not to swear anymore in his raps. You've got people that are lyrically gifted. They're not talking about shooting people. They're not talking about cars. They're not talking. I think you even tweeted the other day about age and different things like that. Bro, I don't want to hear a 40, 45, 50-year-old man talking about selling drugs or and I know it's there, do you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. I know it's there and I still enjoy what's there. But what I'm saying is, if we're honest, if you're 50 years old, bro, and you're still shutting on the corner, bro,
then you've lost.
Come on, you're a waste, man. Trust me. There's no other way to explain it, bro. Like them times, you need to be sitting down and schooling your kids or something. Do you know what I mean? And that's what you get from hip hop. You can get I was trying to explain that to someone recently. Everything you need from hip hop, you can get. If you want to be in a club, if you want to just turn up or whatever, if you want a consciousness, if you want to understand life, if you want gems, if you want gangster, whatever you want, it's there. So to turn around and say consciousness is or positivity is bro, I'd say that the issue is more with that person than what they're listening to. You know what I'm saying?
100. Because I read it and I was like, the issue is with you. That sounds like the issue is with you, bro. Because that is a mad thing to say that you don't want to hear. That is whack. Like positive music is whack.
Like, how angry are you, man? Like, how angry at life are you, man?
I mean, like, it's kind of sad that you get things like people normally not of our culture try to put everything in a little box, talking about coke rap, gangster rap, this, that. And there's been so many rappers that's like, don't call me a coke rapper. Like, just because I rap about coke in a couple tunes, I did that shit. I lived that shit. That's why I talk about it. It's not, I'm not a coke rapper, or I'm not a gangster. DJ Quick made a tune called I'm Use a Gangster or something, and he's like, no, I'm not. And he's just like, I grew up in, this is where I grew up, and you know, this is why I make music like this and whatever. So as you said, man, at the end of the day, I think people have a real issue with acknowledging that rappers are human beings who have number one, lived a life that a lot of them will never be privy to, will never understand. Like, some of them will never grasp the idea of like a child who's racially profiled from the minute that they come out of the womb, who is targeted by police every day, who is taught in school nothing about their history, where they're from. The only thing they're taught is you're a slave and Martin Luther King. They're not taught anything. They're not taught anything about what it is to be black, how to save money, how to, you know, how to function as an adult, how to function as a human being. They just taught a load of stuff that we will never. Have you ever used trigonometry since you left school?
Never had to.
So these kids who grow up to be rappers, like that's the life that they go through. A lot of them, their parents maybe on drugs or were at home, so they've had to look after their siblings from a young age, so they've had to go hustling. That hustling has seen they've seen their best friends killed, murdered, doing 40 to 50 years in jail for weed, coke, whatever. This is real shit that we're talking about. Like, people don't know, like, they don't know that life. They just listening to the music and then they just label these guys. Like, these are real people with real emotions. Like, as you said, like, there might be one day where they're happy, dear mama, I get around, them kind of tunes. But then there's gonna be other days, bro, where they're like, fuck you. Which they did. But then there's another day where they're gonna say a prayer, like DMX would at the end of every album. So don't be putting these people in one box, like, just because they're rappers. That really pisses me off, because that's exactly what the media does. If they use the word rapper, it comes with a negative connotation. It comes with, if you're a rapper, you've got to be a gangster, you've got to be a womanizer, you've got to have guns, you've got to be in a gang, you've got to be dangerous. If that's what the word rapper comes with. If you say rockstar is like, oh, he's a fun guy, you know, he does drugs, but it's okay. He sleeps with multiple women, but it's fine. But if you're a rapper and you do drugs, it's terrible. And you sleep with multiple women, then you're scum and you don't look after your kids. Like, we've really got to start using our heads, like, with all this kind of stuff that's coming out. So with this whole thing about positive rap, we need positive rap.
That's what I mean. Yeah, we need positivity and consciousness. These kids
can't be growing up listening to this shit that mainstream radio is playing in their ears every day. If I could bring myself to listen to radio, and I never have enjoyed the radio. I like selecting what I want to hear. But if I ever did, then I know what I'm getting. I know exactly what I'm getting. I'm getting bitches, cars, drugs, guns,
100%.
Nonsense. I'm not getting any BDP. I'm not getting any kind of knowledge, wisdom, knowledge of self. I'm proud to be black. I'm not getting none of that shit from hip hop on the radio now. I'm just getting nonsense. So if you're really honestly saying positive rap is a problem, you are the problem.
That's what I'm saying.
Sorry for the rant, but
it's not even a rant. It's exactly that.
It don't make no sense to me.
No, it's exactly that. It's not a rant, bro. Like, if you're not teaching the next generation to love themselves and to, you know what I mean, and to respect each other and to live right, kind of thing,
bro, that's why
what do you expect?
That's why we're losing.
That's what I mean. Because you're gonna view that as a
poison for the kid. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, there was poison when I was a kid, but I could select BDP. I could select Tribe Called Quest. I could select Queen Latifah. I could select Moni Love. I could select all of those kind of Brand Nubian and all those guys who were making some real music that I could learn some stuff from, right? Who's doing that now?
Nah, that's
Who's
what I'm
doing that
saying,
now?
man.
The
Yeah.
last person I saw do that is Backward Sweetie. Her album is fantastic because her album, she's talking some real I'm proud to be black. And
Yeah, which is
everyone
yeah.
who listens to the album needs to take some shit from that. Because I listened to it and I was like, it was just like, yes, like someone's finally saying some shit about what it's like to be a black person. Fantastic album. So if you ain't heard it, bro, I highly recommend it, man.
No, definitely. I heard bits and pieces. I need to sit with the whole thing though, because I have heard the name mentioned before, and I've been meaning to. But the thing for me is that sometimes it's lost, and I know, like I mentioned my sister a lot, but I've got to always big her up, man, because it's the same thing we're talking about, bro. Like I remember, obviously, that's what I'd be hearing, bro. She'd be watching Eyes of the Prize over here in the UK. Do you know what I mean? Listening to Public Enemy, listening to Boogie Down Productions, like you said, listening to things like that. That was I know I saw it with my own eyes, bro. She weren't learning that in that school in regards to to blackness and certain things. She was learning that from hip hop, bro.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? And then passing it down to me. I was hearing those things, the consciousness. That's why many times I look at Chuck D and Public Enemy on the whole, but you know what I'm saying? I look at people like that. They're just in a whole different league. You know what I'm saying? Because I saw it firsthand. Some people that weren't even getting educated about certain things. Yes, we take it upon ourselves to learn, but we use the methods that we use. And for my big sister and for people around me, a lot of the time it was hip hop, it was music, and that's where they was learning from. So yes, it's out there now, but imagine if everyone had that mentality. Positivity don't sell. Consciousness don't sell. So forget that.
But
Let's just wind up and do
that's
what we're
they
doing.
want. The people that play the music, the mainstream, that's exactly what they want. They want all that kind of stuff on the radio because, you know, that's, you know, if they feed enough poison to us, then, you know, we're going to kill ourselves. So that's how it goes. And we need to move away from that. We need to move away from that. So yeah, that was a very, very trash. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like ignorant music as much as the next guy. I listen to
it's balance, bro.
I listen to all that, right? But at the same time, I could never say like positive music is trash. Like, just ridiculous, man. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, last thing, and then I'll move on. It's funny to say that it's about the whole balance thing because sometimes I'm listening to all that and I'm like, yeah, cool. And then there'll just be that one day, I don't know, it's the mood I'm in or whatever, but I remember not too long ago, I was listening to 50 in it. What's it called? Get Rich or Die Trying. I can't even remember the track now, bro. It's gone from my brain. But he was saying something about basically shoot you in your head and watch your brain come out of your head like a jack in the box and all that. Bro, don't ask me why. Heat, right. Don't ask me why, bro. But for 1 minute, right, I just sat there and I just thought, bro, we're really rapping about blowing someone's brains out of their head. You get me? And then I'm thinking, it's actually madness. Don't ask me why. I just went on a guys, watchers, viewers, sorry about the light. It's tripping on me. Don't worry about it. But back to what I'm saying. But yeah, so I'm watching things like that and I'm listening to things like that and I'm just thinking, it's actually mad. Do you know what I mean? But then one day, like we was talking about the other day, I'll put on What Up Gangster and I'll be wilding out. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's moods and modes, man. That's all it is.
You're not going to be in one mood all the time. Like that's when people say stuff like, what's your top whatever, and I'm just like, it depends on what mood I'm in. Like I could literally be in the mood for Dilla beats all day, or Eric Sermon beats all day, or Havoc beats all day. Like it really depends. It really depends. I could wake up on Twitter and be pissed and just respond to some nonsense that's like piss me off or whatever. Or I could be on there just making jokes all day. Like it depends. It depends what mood I wake up in, you know? It's one of them things.
Exactly that, bro.
All right, man. So
life's about balance, man.
For real.
Forgive me, guys. This camera's being mad on me today. Right, but yeah, so my turn. So let me jump.
Yeah,
so
the next one is yours.
That was a good one, man. I could talk about that all day, to be honest. But okay, yeah. So the next thing I saw, one of the things I pulled out was okay, so Prodigy from Mobb Deep ain't even top 5 Queen's MC. Okay, so and it didn't stop there. They also went on to say that Action Bronson and Royal Flush are better than Prodigy. Right?
All right, just end the podcast there.
So top 5 MC. Okay, I mean, let's be honest, man. Queens is almost like
Name 5
Brooklyn in that sense. Queens has got
Nas, Cool
Queens is one of
G-Rap.
those ones where there's some right G-Rap. You got obviously Nas, G-Rap. You could say LL for influence and impact.
But is he a better rapper?
No, not than Prodigy. So, but the point I'm making is that Queens has got a lot of top tier MCs.
Queens is one of the most important boroughs in hip hop.
Right. So to say he's not top 5, if you wanted to take that and run with that, okay, you could possibly make an argument if you wanted to, right? But then to put Action Bronson and Royal Flush, and for me, I ain't gonna go on like I know everything. I haven't heard anything after Ghetto Millionaire from Royal Flush. That was the only album I kind of dug into. I'm not even sure if he dropped some more. That's what I mean. I'm not even sure if he dropped more. But I thought that was a dope album. I like that album a lot. But there's no way I'm putting him as an MC over Prodigy. And Action Bronson, I know a lot of people dislike him. I ain't really got a problem with him. Do you know what I mean?
I ain't got no. Ghostface hasn't got a problem with him, so maybe some people need to snap out of that whole Ghostface shit, because even Ghostface himself ain't got a problem with himself.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought that was kind of a bit of a controversial statement there. Prodigy not even being top 5 Queens MC. Like you said, if you're talking about Queens elite, you've got to say Prodigy for me. I think once again, as we've said a few times, even on this podcast, 95, 96, Prodigy would not have just been looked at maybe as a top 5 Queens MC. He would have been looked at a top 5 MC, right? Top 5 MC. Even, and I say even, not like he's the god, but I say even Jay-Z at one point was saying like he thinks he's probably like the best rapper in the game in 96. And the reason I say even Jay-Z before anyone jumps on me is because he's one of the most arrogant MCs there are. There is. You know what I'm saying? He has issues like giving props. You see that. Yeah, you see that. Do you know what I'm saying? But it was undeniable. We had to say it as well. So yeah, man, Prodigy easily top 5 Queens MC. Respect to Flush, respect to Action Bronson and whoever else is from Queens. But you're gonna have a hard time overall being looked at as top 5 over Prodigy. Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I like a lot of Bronson stuff. I like his I don't give a fuck. His kind of, he talks about what he wants. He's quite a humorous guy as well. Like a lot of his stuff is just very funny. He's just very irreverent. He just talks about just random stuff, and he's just like he's a personality. He's a character.
Yeah.
I'm never going to say Action Bronson is whack because he had beef with Ghostface or he's got a voice that sounds the same. You can't help what you sound like. Like, he doesn't rap like Ghostface. He sounds like Ghostface. There's a big difference. There's a massive difference in sounding like someone and rapping exactly like them. Like, try to take their style. He never tried to take Ghostface's style. Like, I've never heard Ghostface rapping about dolphins and doing a dunk with your grandmother and all that kind of stuff. Like, Ghostface has some wild outlandish shit as well, yeah. But they've got a very different way of presenting their style. I've never got them confused. I don't understand where all that shit where people say he's Diet Ghost and all that. I've never really understood that personally, because I've liked Ghostface stuff. The stuff he did with Static Selector, the stuff he did with Alchemist. He did the Blue Chip series I liked. So he's done quite a bit that I've enjoyed, man. And no one saying he's Ghostface light is going to stop me enjoying his music. So, but to put him up against Prodigy, not close for me at all. Roll Flush, one album. How are you going to put that up against Infamous, Hell on Earth, Murder Music, and HNIC, various other songs?
Guest verses, he's murdered, yeah.
Free Agents, HNIC 2, what's it? Return of the Mac, the Helgian Dialectic. Come on.
Does Albert Einstein dropped this heavy as well at that point in his career?
His feature verses. Like, are we being serious? I mean, do I need to go on? No, I don't really need to, because Royal Flush ain't got a quarter of that output of that quality. Action Bronson doesn't. My favorite rapper from Queens is Cool G Rap.
Mm-hmm.
Next will be Nas, and then it will be Prodigy.
Yeah.
So I personally think it's very difficult to argue against that lineup because all of those three have put in work. They've put out classics. They had longevity, and I'm sure Prodigy will be doing some great things if he was still with us. Nas is doing great things, like amazing things. Puts out albums. He's doing films. He's made investments. Like, he's living great, and it's great to see. Cool G Rap is still destroying people at his age. Like, he's still rapping crazy. Like, I've never heard him put in a subpar performance. He was still hanging with 38 Special on that album. And I'm just 100. Like, bro, like, how are you still doing this at this level? He was born to rap. Like, literally, he was obviously born to do it. Very gifted MC. And yeah, Prodigy, we know what he did. So I don't know how you can make a case for him not being top 5 and they shouldn't try to be controversial.
That's what I mean. And even if you're talking impact, I mean, I know I mentioned LL, but I mean, that's why when people have their favorites list and their GOAT list and blah, 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 I mean, they are two different things. If we're talking about like influence, it's a different thing.
Yeah, I mean, LL Cool J, Run DMC, you got to put all those guys in there.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, for influence, yeah, exactly. But just bar for bar rapping,
you're not putting LL and Run DMC and then man over Prodigy.
No, you're not. You're not. Just bar for bar. So yeah, so Prodigy definitely top 5 Queens MC. For some people, he would be top 5 MC of all time. So absolutely, that kind of controversial. So yeah, hit me, man. What's your next one?
The next one is that Big was overrated. Now, was it, or Big was all hype? That kind of bullshit. Like, if you weren't around to see Big, then just shut up, man. I'm just bored of these kids just talking this nonsense. Like, if you're listening to him with late ears, or you say he's only got 2 albums, or all this bullshit, then you're just talking nonsense. Because if you weren't around to see what that man did whilst he was alive, he rapped for 4 years. We saw him for 4 years until he was taken from us. 4 years. If you look at what that man accomplished in that space of time, who else has done that? Nobody. People, like, he was. Do you know how insular New York is? You've been to New York. You know how insular New York is. You've got the boroughs, but every borough is like for themselves. Queens is for themselves. Bronx is for themselves. Brooklyn's for themselves. They don't mess with, like, they're so. But to have one person as the king of New York, come on, man. Because if you were saying Nas is the king of New York, that means people from the Bronx, from Brooklyn, from Harlem, everywhere else is got to say yes. They're not going to do that. When Big did it, everyone said, "Okay, that guy's the king. I've got to give it up." I mean, what more needs to really be said? For 4 years, that dude was rapping, and it just even annoys me just having to explain the impact that this man had. Even the way that he rapped. When I watched the documentary, I almost didn't, because I knew that Puff was involved and I knew it was going to piss me off. But I watched it anyway. So to hear when they went back to Jamaica and they showed about how he was learning from the jazz musicians and all that kind of stuff, I was like, that makes so much sense. Because if you listen to the way he raps, he's got like a melody all of his own on top.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The way that he'll use a word to go into the next sentence. I was listening to Flavor in Your Air remix today, and that verse, man, it's just so good. It's just so effortlessly brilliant. Like, just the lines that he said, like, "Don't be mad, UPS is hiring," stuff, like, just little stuff that he said. People use that in everyday conversation,
right?
To this day.
Great.
So if you don't understand, and at the time when he came out, the West Coast had everything locked down, and New Yorkers were not happy, because hip hop is New York, according to New Yorkers. This is where it started from. This is the home of hip hop. No one's taking this shit from us. Anything that's not New York is whack. So all my friends and family in New York, I spent a lot of time there. All of them are saying, like, I ain't listening. Even to this day, my cousins don't listen to West Coast rappers. That's how they do it. Like, they're not having Kendrick. They're not having Mozzie and all them. They're not having it. They're like, not feeling it. I'm not gonna like it. So why am I gonna listen to it? That's just how it is. So for Big to be accepted, I know he was killed out there, but that's a different story. But
yeah, that's not
people,
even. Yeah,
but people on the West Coast, they liked Big because he was that good. He was that good. He could do any style. He had tune for the ladies. He had the tune with Bone Thugs. That kind of just proved it all to everyone because he was like, I can do whatever. I can literally do whatever. Like he literally did it all over 2 albums. You could say 3 if you count Life After Death as a like a double album, whatever. I still call it 2 albums, but he's got something for everybody on those 2 albums. He proved that he could do everything. He didn't need 10 albums to prove it. He proved it in 2. Do you know how difficult that is?
Real talk.
So if you didn't experience him taking everything back from the West Coast, because when he came out, it was Snoop and Dre, Death Row Records.
Hip hop was West Coast.
It was all West Coast. It was all they were dominating everything. New York was like, how are we gonna come back? How are we gonna? Biggie just came out the gate, ready to die. Bam, have some of that. Killed everything. So if you weren't around to understand and really know what Big did, then just shut up because you're just talking nonsense. If you don't understand why Big is revered by people who love hip hop music, not just of my age group, people older than me, people younger than me, will listen to Big and understand why this man was so special. So to say he was all hype, you weren't around, because no one that was around will say he was.
Will ever say that now.
They will say that. They will say that he was hyped because he was that good to be spoken about as the GOAT, not because he died, because people called him the GOAT while he was alive.
Right.
So let's not ever get that twisted. He wasn't the GOAT because he died. Jay-Z, as you said, don't give props to no one. He was saying that he was the greatest he ever heard while he was alive. What more do I need to say? Just shut up. If you don't know about him, just don't talk. It's fine. Do your history, understand what he meant to hip hop, what he did by bringing the East Coast back, what he did for mainstream hip hop, Big Papa and all them tunes that he brought out, but he was still big. He wasn't like watering down. Listen to the nastiness he's talking on Big Papa and them tunes there. And he's talking about like some real shit on Juicy. Like I wasn't a massive Juicy fan, but he's talking some stuff on there. He's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
definitely, man.
He did it all. He literally did it all. And if you just weren't there, just say you weren't there. It's cool. But to say he was all hype just tells me you just don't know what you're talking about. You just weren't around. That's fine.
Nah, I agree, man. I mean, Biggie's he's a different kettle of fish, man. I mean, for me, this actually goes into the next one I picked. So the next one I picked was someone said that Biggie and Tupac ain't that good. That was the tweet. Biggie and Tupac ain't that good. So I'm gonna touch on Big and then go into Pac. So that's nice. Yeah. That meets up. For me now, bro. The thing about Biggie, is that I don't think I can think of an MC whose lyrical growth from one album to the next is as big as Biggie. Now I know a lot of people say, look at whatever, you know what I mean? Nas on Illmatic to It Was Written. I'm one of those people, definitely, but not in the category of Big. I think Big on Ready to Die, me and you off air and off the timeline, we've had these debates, you know what I'm saying? Where I've said there's days I've got Life After Death over Ready to Die, simply because of that reason, right? For me, I think Biggie's growth and maturity and lyrical ability is insane, bro. Imagine
he was 24 when he died, bro.
This is
so from that, he would have been doing it at 30. It's crazy.
This is what I was gonna say. So from the debut album, obviously he was doing bare writing in between. We know that he was killing features,
Junior Mafia and all that.
Junior Mafia, the whole Conspiracy album and that, and
Little
blah
Kim.
blah blah, Little Kim. So we know between 93 and what's it called, 97, we know he weren't chilling. He was writing.
He was working.
95, he was But 97, bro, when you listen to Biggie rap, the stories, you were there, bro. You may as well have just been sitting in a cinema with your popcorn, watching a film when his music was on. You know what I'm saying? He was an incredible MC. Funny, intimidating at times in the way he presented his bars, clever, the way he strung things together, smooth. I think Biggie was in a league of his own. You know what I'm saying?
There was nothing he couldn't do. Nothing.
Yeah, it was fun. It wasn't hype at all. Do you know what I mean? This guy delivered. Like for me, I'll be honest with you, some of his earlier stuff, like when you listen to Born Again and duets and that, some of the early verses they took.
I've never listened to duets. I've only listened to Born Again. I won't listen to anything after Born Again because
You don't, bro. You ain't missed a damn thing. But like some of his early verses, like when he was shouting, kind of thing.
Yeah,
that big ain't that impressive to me. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
when he's shouting and blah blah blah, like that kind of. But bro,
like the Dolly My Baby big.
Right, do you know what I'm saying? So I can do without that big if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that either. But Ready to Die.
Ready to Die. Now the him on that. The lyricism and that, bro, I had that album in constant rotation, man, when it dropped.
For
like most of the world.
2 years.
Trust me, man. I remember Total Can't You See? Do you know how much times, bro? I think the track's sick anyway. But you know how much times I would just pull that back? Just his
verse.
Bro, he made that. The 112 Only You remix he killed. Like you said, the Flavor in Your Air. Bro, there's times where I stop it after him. Like, let's be honest, bro. The track dips after Biggie, man. I actually like Craig Mack. You know what I mean? I didn't mind his verse at all, but I think the track dips after. Anyway, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's not hype, man. So I'm gonna go into the next point as well. Like I said about someone said Biggie and Tupac not being good, right? Bro, I was driving. Must have been this morning or yesterday morning. I was listening to some hip hop from the 80s. And we all know that it's dope, innit? We all know that it's good. But I'm a strong advocate for living something in real time and revisiting it. You are never, ever, ever going to get the same feeling. Now, you'll still recognize it as great, but you're not going to get that feel. Like you said before, if people were not there when certain albums dropped, because they always hear of them as being classics, they go back to it. They may recognize it as being good, but they're never going to get that feeling. So now MCs like Biggie, and we've talked about Biggie a bit, so to go on Tupac to close the one I picked, you look at someone like Tupac, right? 25 years after his death, right? He is still being, or people are still being compared to him, right? Bro, end of discussion. Say no more. How are you getting newer people? So what people do, they're like, I'm hearing Tupac all the time. So you're going to pull up this person and say they're better than Tupac. This person, Biggie and Tupac weren't even that good.
Then? Because he's the benchmark, obviously.
Right.
Like, use your head. The reason you're saying Pac is because you know he's the benchmark. Otherwise, why would you mention him?
You wouldn't even talk about him, bro. A lot of people like
mention him.
Yeah, like, and that's another thing. No disrespect at all, but like when you're talking about the whole Prodigy thing there, I was thinking to myself, like, you can say Action Bronson, Royal Flush. There may even be people that are technically better rappers than Prodigy, but are people going to be talking about them like they'll still talk about Prodigy? They won't. Now, bro, you can get 10, 15 rappers that are technically better than Tupac, right? But can they give you a Me Against the World? Do you know what I'm saying? Can they give you 7 Day Fair
album? All Eyes on Me. Can they give you?
Can they give you the emotion? Bro, that's what I'm saying. Can they give you the emotion? Can they? I don't care what no one says, bro. Dear Mama, is one of the greatest songs of all time, bro. And I'm not even exaggerating. To this day, when I listen to Dear Mama, just the little way he constructs things, man. Just when he says that, just you are appreciated, bro. He's not even trying to say, I know what you're going through, this, that. He's just like, listen, man, if you hear nothing else from this song, just know that you're appreciated, bro. Like,
yeah.
Not many people can pull off a Dear Mama. And I know people may be like, oh no, there's this song, there's that song, there's that song. Bro, Tupac is in a different league. Like, that's all I'm saying.
Bro, to have Dear Mama, If I Died Tonight, Tears, all them kind of tunes on one album. Come on, man. I don't old school and Temptation.
Yeah. It's you know what I mean? His emotion, his anger, whatever happened, getting with Death Row, we all know the ins and outs of. But to turn around and say Biggie and Tupac ain't that good. But you're gonna have to put some major context behind that, because what are we talking about? Because if we're talking about what hip hop is, yes, it's a culture, it's an art form, it's poetry, it's expression, whatever it is. You can't really think of two people that do it better than Biggie and Tupac. And I'm not saying that because they're dead. Like
Let's
you
just
said,
make it easy for the simple ones who can't get a grip on why Tupac and Biggie are so revered. You just said it at the beginning. Nearly 30 years later, then I see their name every single
day.
There's been plenty of rappers who have been killed, live short lives and all of that tragic stuff, but I don't hear about them every day.
Right.
Because they might have been good at what they did or whatever, but they just were not Biggie and Tupac. And I know the circumstances in which they died is, kind of shrouded in controversy and all that. But again, most of the people that talk this nonsense weren't alive when the East Coast West Coast beef was popping, and it was just tense, and the diss records were going back and forth, and the albums were coming out, and the labels were at odds, and there was just a lot going on. But at the end of the day, if you're just going by music, Tupac's run before he died, I started being a fan of Tupac in '95 because I didn't like Strictly. I didn't like Tupacalypse. Now I was a fan from Me Against the World because I bought that album and I was like, this is crazy, like this is amazing. One of my favorite albums in '95. Then the whole thing about him releasing it while he was in jail, coming out, dropping the double album, then him dying, and then Machiavelli coming out a few weeks after he died, and just all being just good music. There's always people, he's the next Tupac. Like,
nah, bro.
There's never gonna be, never. And let's not forget, it wasn't just music. He was an actor. Like he's got a filmography on top of that. And again, let's not forget, he was 25 when he was killed.
Bro, it's crazy.
Like people need to really get an understanding of this. Like he wasn't 35. If you look at what the man accomplished by 25 years old, I can't think of many other rappers who have got a discography that wide.
Nah.
Features, movies, everything else. I mean, what more needs to be said, man? We shouldn't.
He's icon.
Shouldn't be debating whether Biggie and Tupac were special to hip hop.
Yeah.
In 2021, like it should be understood by now. There's a reason they're still spoken about, and it ain't because they were killed. Because other rappers have been shot. Other rappers have died from medical complications or whatever. So, but they're not spoken about every day.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
So there's a reason. Like it's that simple. Just understand it. It's that simple. They were special, both of them, for different reasons.
Before they died, like you said, before they died.
Exactly. It wasn't like Tupac didn't sell however many million copies of All Eyes on Me because no one rated him while he was alive.
You're right. Yeah.
Like
exactly.
What? Seriously, it's like talking to brick walls. Like you shouldn't have to explain what is there in your face. Like Michael Jackson sold, I don't even know how many millions Thriller's on now, and people still talking shit about, oh, who's the greatest?
Drake or MJ?
Yeah, like if again. I don't talk about certain artists from the 60s or whatever because I wasn't around to see it. I wasn't around to see artists from the 70s. I was around from late 80s, very late 80s, very early 90s is when like I was really comprehending
appreciating music. Yeah.
Right. So I don't talk about Motown and stuff because I only know that from my parents. So I wasn't there to experience the Supremes and everyone else that was on Motown. I was there to listen to the music and thinking, okay, that's dope, but I wasn't there. I can't talk intelligently about it because I wasn't there. So I can't say, oh, damn, it's trash, or all these guys are trash, because I wasn't there. But my mum would tell me like Diana Ross was like Beyonce in her day.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have to be like, okay, Mum, I understand you were there. She'll be like, oh, I'll get home from school and we'll all camp around the TV and wait for her to come on. Okay. I understand she was big. So if we're telling you that we were there, we understand why these people are revered. That's just what it is. Nothing you say will change that. Biggie's trash. He's overrated. Like no one gives a shit about your little opinion because it doesn't matter. What's fact is fact. There's a reason that they're special, and that's what it is. Simple as. I ain't
talk, man.
Ever again. I said I ain't arguing about Biggie and Tupac with like 19-year-olds because I don't care what you think.
No, they've come with the mindset to disprove you as well.
Exactly.
Right? You know what I mean?
You're never going to disprove it because what are you going off? Videos. Yeah. So I don't care. It's as simple as that. Like I know I was there. You know you was there. My boys know because they were there. I mean, so
100%, man. Fully agree. Now
you got the next one, bro. I know you ain't because you.
Nah, I've done the Big Impact.
All right, bro. So this one is kind of similar. So it's like 90s rappers are over glorified, and I'll just make this one real short. But again, it's because you weren't there. Because if you were raised in that, you would understand why people now listen to 90s hip hop or 80s hip hop because that was the greatest era of hip hop before it became jiggy and the labels were like, oh my God, there's money to be made in this black people music. Let's throw some money in it. $1 million budgets for videos, $1 million contracts, and all this stuff that wasn't given to them before. They were now throwing money at hip hop because they know that it was the number one genre. People wanted to hear it. So if these 90s artists are over revered or whatever, you wouldn't have hip hop now. You wouldn't have what you have now. If they weren't there making those moves in 90s, in the 80s, who do you think influenced Lil Wayne? You said Lil Wayne is the greatest. Where do you think Lil Wayne got all his shit from? Lil Wayne will tell you, as a child, I was listening to this, I was listening to this, and I was listening to this. He didn't just wake up one day and start rapping. Like, he was influenced by what came before him. Drake was influenced by what came before him. He's influenced by flipping everything anyway. Like, oh, I like that. I'll take it.
Wow,
bro. So to say that they're kind of over glorified, it makes no sense. Again, I repeat myself. There's a reason they are glorified, and the reason is you wouldn't have what you have today if that never happened. If my era never happened, you wouldn't have what you have. Yo MTV Raps and us spending money on it, on the culture, us going to the shows, putting money in the rappers' pockets so that they could continue to tour and all of that stuff. You wouldn't have none of that. So to say that they're over glorified, what do you think you'd have if it wasn't for that? If that never happened?
So, 100%. You know how I see it as well, bro? Like for me, and I've said this a few times tonight, but it's one of those ones where if you're looking at people from today's age, yeah, there may be people that are technically better, but it's not about technicalities. I mean, I look at it like basketball or wrestling. Do you know what I'm saying? If you look at wrestling, like you got the golden era or the golden age of wrestling, like 85 to like early to mid 90s, you know what I mean? Warriors, your Hogans, your whatever's. Then obviously you got to go into your whole attitude era and different things like that of your wrestling. That was a time, bro, where it was on fire. Do you know what I'm saying? It was like the best that it's been. It was, I won't say pure, it wasn't pure, but you know what I'm saying? It was like, right.
Wrestling is trash now.
Right. But you may handpick a few wrestlers now. Technically, ability-wise, they're better than a lot of them guys. But it was a movement them times. It was a time. It was a moment. It was the best it's been. They were selling out things like crazy. They were doing this. They were doing that. They was trend setting. They were doing things for the first time. It was, bro, give me that golden era any day of the week. So I see hip-hop like that. I feel like late 80s to late 90s was that golden era. There was that WWF before it was WWE kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? It was that Chicago Bulls era where Jordan was just running things. You know what I mean? It was like, no one's saying basketball ain't good now, but there was a time in the late 80s to mid 90s when it was the best it's been. You know what I'm saying? So to say it's overrated, I don't want to say I agree. I want to say that I understand why some people may look at it like that, because they look at it saying there's rappers that are just as good now or better now than your 90s rappers. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the time, like you said, the work that was put in. They crawled so that people could walk. Do you know what I'm saying? And it was, for me, that's what makes the 90s such a special time, bro. Like, they weren't, of course they're chasing money. They want to get paid. I'd be lying if I say they're not. That's ridiculous. Of course they do. It's not a fun thing, but you know what I mean? They weren't doing it for social media likes and retweets. Do you know what I mean? They didn't have streaming and all that, man. You needed to go and buy their album. They had to drop a fire single for you to want to go and buy the album. You know what I'm saying? Labels had to be on point. Your touring had to be on point. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the whole thing about the whole 90s era was just different to what we're in now. And I don't think we'll never have that again.
Like, it's not about
no doubt.
I don't play music and like, oh, I wish I was 15 again. Like, that's not it. Like, I listen to it and I'm like, I hear, you know, like when they say, the best way I can describe this is, you know, when people say no one can make something like my mum does. No one can make, I don't know, scrambled eggs like my mum does. So you could eat some scrambled eggs, you're like, yeah, that's all right, but it ain't like my mum does it. You know what I mean? You go, mum, make me some eggs. She makes it. You're just like, how does she do it?
What is it?
What does she put in this? Like, how? And hip hop is the same. It's like, dudes can do it, but you just haven't got that feeling. Like, I can't think of one producer now, like a new producer. There's a million of them now. Before there was like a certain amount of producers, but now everyone makes beats.
Exactly.
There was a time where music had a feel. You would feel the music. Like a Premier beat, you would feel it. A Dilla beat, you would feel it. It's almost like Havoc once said it brilliantly. He said, when I make a beat, I see colors. I see it in colors. So when he's making music, he's like, he can kind of see a picture. These producers now, I just hear a beat. I don't have that feeling. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. It's samey, bro. It's samey.
It's just everyone's making the same beat. Like, no one's really getting that sample, and it's like, okay, like they just sampling some random some shit that come out 2 years ago. They're sampling that. Like, there was a time when producers were really making that shit that made you feel the music, and then the rappers on top of that music was saying some real dope stuff.
Yeah, man.
And now it's just, there's people
emulating other stuff.
There's people are like, now, yeah, sure there is, but in the main, they're just copying each other. Like, when you grew up, I don't know if you're the same as me. I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I was like, there was a time, and I'm still the same now, to be honest. But if I buy a pair of trainers, and I'm walking down the road, and I see one dude with them, and 5 minutes later I see another dude with them, I swear to God, I've done this a couple times. I'll go home and I'll be like, no, I ain't wearing them again, because everyone's got it. Or if I've got a jacket and everyone's got that jacket, I don't want to be the same as you lot. I want to have my own shit. So I'll try and find something that not everybody's got or whatever. And that's another reason that I love the hip hop, because not everybody was into hip hop.
Was on it, yeah, exactly.
It was our shit. Like, the people who liked hip hop liked it, and then everyone else was listening to pop or whatever. But hip hop was a thing for people who were really
100%.
Now everybody's dipping their hands in it, and it's changed. Like, the water's been muddied. It's not the same. So you're not gonna understand now, because you can pull up an album on your phone, you can skip through it and say, oh yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and that's it.
It's gone. Like, you're never gonna go back to it again. The amount of times I've seen that, album of the year. Okay, next week I'll tweet like, the album of the year that come out last week, I ain't seen nothing about it again. Because I guarantee you, if Twitter was around in '94, we'll be talking about Ready to Die for a year clean.
Trust me.
We'll be talking about. Go on, bro.
So to cut you, I was going to say, and the thing about that as well, it is streaming that does that a lot as well, because it drops on a Friday. I'm not saying no one bought records as soon as they drop, because you and I know sometimes you'd be queuing up for things. I get that. But bro, I'm going to say it, man. Most of the time, I didn't get things when they first dropped. You know what I mean? It would be like when I get my pocket money next, or when I got this bit of money next. So sometimes something could be out for a week or two, but because you didn't have YouTube and streaming and all this and that, it didn't really matter too much, because it's not like you said, you got it. So you lived with it for a period of time. And but now, because it drops on Friday, everyone's on it on the Friday over the weekend, bro. They're on it. They're on it. They're on it. Like you said, album of the year. So after that week that everyone's listened to it, what's happening?
On to the next one. And what people do now, they'll listen to an album, they'll select the songs they like and put it on a playlist. So you could like 4 songs out of a 14-song album, and to you, that's an album of the year. To me, that's bullshit. 4 out of 10 is not a good ratio. 4 out of 10 is not a good ratio. If you got 4 out of 10 on a test score, you failed, bro.
You failed, man.
So
that's actually bad.
Let's keep it real funky now, man. Like I can't take a lot of these people seriously when they talk about music, because I'm just like, I can tell like you weren't raised in this, and it's cool. I totally embrace new people who have just discovered it or whatever. If they truly give a shit, if they truly like love hip hop, I'll talk to you all day. I don't care what age you are, teenager, whatever.
100.
But you can just tell the people that just want interactions and follows and all that kind of nonsense. I ain't got time for that shit. So the 90s is not over glorified. There's a reason. The greatest rappers came from that era. They came from the 80s. They came from the 90s. That is why they're revered. It shouldn't have to be explained. It's as simple as that.
Man. They were doing something for the culture, man. The consciousness of the time, working not against, but addressing social issues. There was so much going on in the 90s.
So much, man. The 90s were wild, bro. It was a wild time. Some mad stuff happened in the 90s, man. And it was all getting documented in hip hop. What I think as well, it occurred to me the other day, I was listening to something and I thought, some of these references, these people won't get. Like they might be referencing a TV show, or because even me, a lot of these rappers were older than us, right? So they're talking about shows from that they might have been watching as kids. So they'll be talking about shows from the late 70s or so they make a reference to those shows, and I'll be like, okay, I didn't get that reference. But then the show might be replayed on TV, and you watch it, you'd be like, oh, okay,
that's what they meant. Yeah.
So I'm thinking like some of these kids might listen to these lyrics and be like, oh, I don't know what that means. They don't get it because they weren't privy to what the rapper's talking about. So I think sometimes a lot of that stuff might go over their heads as well, because they simply weren't around when the stuff that they're talking about was happening. So I think that could be a reason as well. But like this era now is not going to be spoken about in 30 years time.
What album, sorry?
This era now.
Oh, this era, exactly. Yeah,
ain't going to be spoken about in 30 years time. But the golden era is going to be spoken about forever, because they gave us Big, they gave us Pac, they gave us Wu, they gave us Public Enemy, they gave us Run DMC, they gave us everything that you see now that has influenced your favorite rappers came from that. So the fact that you like what you're hearing now is because of what happened in the 80s and the 90s. So how can it be over glorified?
Definitely, man.
Simple.
Nah, agreed, man. 100%. Yeah, no. That's
your turn, bro. You're next.
Well, you was talking about the four tracks that being a bad ratio. So the next one I saw was Nostradamus is one of Nas's best albums, right?
Only if you haven't heard any other Nas album,
bro.
Maybe.
But now for me, the reason I mentioned about the ratio is because I think there's like 3 tracks I listened to. I wrote them down. It was Family with Mobb Deep, Come Get Me, and Shoot 'Em Up. The reason I had to write them down. I don't even remember that album, bro, if I'm honest. That's why I had to write it down, bro. That's why I had to write it down, because let me tell you something, and I have to do this, bro. I have to reference Jay behind me, right? And the reason I'm gonna do it is because I know what's coming, bro. The amount of times I get told that I'm not that big of a Nas fan because Jay-Z's my favorite rapper, bro. I can't tell you how much that infuriates me, man.
Ridiculous.
Like, I cannot tell you how much that pisses me off, man. If you think me, a big grown man,
paying bills, raising kids,
bro,
have a job,
you understand
that you're still talking about a feud that happened 20 odd years ago.
Listen, I don't care. This is the whole thing. The amount of times I've said I was in 95, Biggie was my favorite rapper. Yeah. I was blasting Hit 'Em Up, bro. Hit 'Em Up was hard. I don't care what you say. You know what I mean? Yes, Jay-Z was my favorite rapper in 2001. I was blasting Takeover. I was blasting Ether, bro. These guys don't pay no bills for me. You understand what I'm saying? They don't drop my kids to school if I'm sick. Yeah, that's
Right.
what I'm saying. They don't drop food off if I'm unwell. Bro, I have no allegiance to them. You understand what I'm saying? It's entertainment for me. It's music. I don't care. So I said all that to say this. Nas, for me, I think, because he gave us Illmatic, it was written, I get it. He seems to just get a pass on everything, bro, which I don't understand, man. Nostradamus is a terrible album. I don't care what anyone tells me, right? Nas, when he dropped It Was Written, I'm a huge It Was Written fan. That's my favorite Nas album, okay? When he dropped that, I was ready for more. If I remember rightly, Nostradamus was the one that was after It Was Written.
Nostradamus came after I Am.
No, I Am. That's it. Perfect. So I remember, bro.
A double album.
That's it. So I love that album. I remember I used to open that CD, and you'll probably remember it, me. In the back of the CD, it had Nas looking through binoculars.
Yeah,
you could see the landscape, Queensbridge. Yeah. And underneath it was saying Nostradamus is coming soon or something. Bro, I could not wait. You understand what I'm saying? When I heard it, I thought, what is this? Apart from the couple tracks I mentioned, bro, it was terrible, man. It was terrible. And that's not even just like an opinion thing. I just think it was terrible, man. So for someone to say it's one of Nas's best albums, if you say one of his best albums, if you have to list them all, so you list it at the bottom, that's the only way it can be one of the best albums. Because if I'm talking about Nas's best album, bro, I ain't even thinking about Nostradamus. But so that did stand out to me, man. What do you think about that, man?
Man, if you think it's one of his best, you haven't heard his albums. It's quite simple, because on no plane can you compare that album to his other stuff. Lyrically, beats wise, conceptually, impact, general reviews from hip hop fans. It just wasn't a good album, and it's fine to say that it wasn't a good album. The only thing I pledge allegiance to is the hotness. I don't care about anything else. Is it dope or is it not?
Right.
That's it. That's all I care about.
That matters.
So when people get into the whole Nas, Jay, I don't care, bro. I'm a grown up man. 20 years ago.
I don't care. I didn't care then. I don't care now.
I didn't really care either, because it was just like I played both albums, bro. I played Jay-Z albums and I played Nas albums.
Same.
I played Tupac albums. I played Biggie albums.
Don't care, man.
Like, I'm an adult. Like, I'm not picking sides because I don't know either of them. If I knew one of them, I'd pick a side. If I knew Jay personally, I'd stay on his side to whoop Nas. It's as simple as that. But I don't know him personally. Therefore, what do I care? For me, it's entertaining. I want you to come back harder on the next disc track.
Yeah, bro, that's all it is. You know? It's entertainment, man. As long as no one's getting killed over it, I'm all for it.
No one's
getting
shot up. You know, none of that, because we saw when it got out of control. We saw that we lost two of our best ever.
Right.
Like, they would imagine if they still live, bro. Like, we can't go through that again. We're still talking about their deaths 30 years later.
There you go.
So, but yeah, for you to, there's literally no, unless you just want to talk shit and make it sound like you're more knowledgeable than everyone else, there's literally no metric you can use ever, like in any kind of way, to say that album is close to his best. It's as simple as that, really. And that's speaking objectively. Like, that's literally like there's not a song on there that you could put on It Was Written. There's not one song that you would take off It Was Written or Illmatic and replace it. Therefore, how could it be better?
I like Come Get Me, like I said, and that's more because of Primo. He does his thing on that hard, but the others, like I said, I had to write them down.
Would you take a song off Illmatic?
No.
It Was Written to replace it? No, you wouldn't. So how could it be? So it can't be better then. Simple.
No
easy.
Way.
That one was easy to knock off. Ridiculous take.
Definitely, man. So what's your last one?
This one should make you giggle, bro. Wale of Maybach Music. I don't know if you guys know him. He raps. He's Nigerian, apparently. His name is Wale something. Wale something. He likes trainers and wrestling, and he's trash. Like,
he's trash.
This guy, man, he annoys me so much because all he does is whine. Why don't you love me? Why don't you respect me, bro? Because you're garbage. Simple as that. You're trash. Your style is whiny. you're just not good. And for someone to put him in the top three of all time, once again, it just tells me you haven't listened to much hip hop.
Top
Because
three of all time. Wow. Okay.
I wouldn't even, if I ever like, was bored and didn't ever have a woman to satisfy, then I might sit around and write a list of my top 100 rappers. Like who does that shit?
I
But
can't go beyond 10, to be honest.
right, like I don't do lists and shit no
You
more.
don't even do 10, yeah, exactly.
Nah, but if I ever was in a place, like if they had locked me up for being certified psychopath or something, and I was in a dark room, maybe I'll have time. Or if they locked me up for fighting someone for saying Biggie was too overhyped or some bullshit like that, and I was in prison and I had some time on my hands, maybe I'll do like a list of 100 favorite rappers, and while they would not be anywhere close to that, so for him to be top three is ridiculous. And again, just saying something to get some kind of, I don't know what, man. Don't know. Just get some hugs in real life. Get a girl or a guy, whatever, and yeah, man, just enjoy life. Hug your kids, touch some grass, go outside, smell the oxygen. See the cars go by. There's a big world outside. Like we don't need the ridiculousness, man. Like there's literally, I don't even want to talk about it no more because it's that stupid. There's nothing to say.
Even if it's a nostalgia thing, but I mean, even if you look
It's
at
not
it where
because he's not
he's
even
come
that.
from, like it's
Yeah,
not even like it's a golden time. I mean, this is where me and you will differ. I mean, I do think I don't want to say he's dope, as I don't particularly think he is, but there are times when I think he's delivered a decent verse. I haven't heard that much, but there's been times I liked his I can't remember what it's called. But he's got a couple of verses that I think, okay, yeah, I can tell that the thing that's annoying to me about him is that I can tell if he asserted himself and got rid of the, I don't want to say emotion because there's always room for emotion, but got rid of the misdirected emotion, yeah, he could deliver something good, man. But I feel like he's almost like he does his thing. Everyone's gonna think that they're the best or that they're good. You know what I'm saying? But I kind of feel like he just throws all his toys out the pram when he don't get the accolades that he feels he needs to get.
he's just never done anything.
He
Like
sees himself higher than probably anyone else does. Do you know what I'm saying?
As you should, really. As you should. If you're a rapper, you should have an ego.
But you need to understand that not everyone's going to see you like that, innit? So, and when you look at the label he's on, I'm not a fan of any kind of like Maybach MCs, really. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not even like he's in an organization where he's got that challenge of trying to be a top tier MC and he's surrounded by dope lyricists
he's not even top three on his own label.
This is what I mean. So this is what I'm saying. So even on a label like that where I don't really rate any of the lyricists, I can hear him at times and think, yeah, he's not bad, but top three for me of all time would be, yeah, man, I couldn't. Someone's listened to him a lot and been impacted on a personal level by him, because if we're
someone
just
lives next
talking
to him
rapping
in Nigeria, that's literally the only way. That's the only way you could ever tell. Or you're related to him in some kind of way, or
bro,
I don't know.
I couldn't. Nah, definitely not, man. But yeah, okay, Wale. All right. So my last one was.
You got another one.
Yeah, number 5. I know. Yeah, this is the last one. We've gone over time a little bit, but my last one was Guru and Primo ain't a good hip hop duo. That's what it was. So it's
one of the greatest hip hop duos of all time is not a good duo. Okay.
The thing is, I'm not even sure why. Like, do they mean compatibility? Because I've said it on air before. I used to think that Primo's production was almost wasted on Guru's. I didn't really check for Guru much before. I do not feel like that now. I think they're the best combination you can get now. I think I said it on the Primo tribute one we done. So I don't feel that. So the reason I say that is because I'm just trying to understand what they mean. It's not a good duo, but there's not anything to not like about the duo. Like you said, they're hip hop royalty. No pun intended, but they're hip hop royalty. You know what I'm saying? It's like Guru, even now, maybe more of that I'm an adult now. When I listen to it, bro, he dropped gem after gem, Like when you listen to, like, obviously I was hearing Gangstar stuff from when I was like 12, but when you listen to it now, Guru's dropping gem after gem after gem in his bars, man. And then I think it goes without saying, man. I personally don't put duos in the same category as groups. So if I was doing the hip hop groups, I mean, how can I word this? When there's a setup where only one person is rapping, it's hard for me to put that in as a duo. Like I wouldn't say
like Eric B and Rakim.
Right, because it's only Rakim rapping. I feel bad. I couldn't put them against Mobb Deep because that's putting Rakim against Havoc and Prodigy. Right. So I would put them in the category of group even, or just whatever they are because they're on their own. But if we are looking at duos, groups, whatever we want to look at, just in the hip hop, if you want to look at it as a group, a duo, whatever you want to look at it as, they would have to be up there in the top tier of all time. So to say they're not a good duo, yeah, I don't get that. So I read that and it immediately stood out to me. That's like saying, I don't know, like Chronic is whack. Do you know what I mean? Or yeah, I don't know. It just stood out.
Just some opinions that they say that everyone's got an opinion, but everyone shouldn't. Like that's just like those. For me, I don't really need to give this one much time. I don't think it's a sensible take. Gangstar is quite clearly one of the dopest duos hip hop has ever seen. From
to this day,
Primo's the greatest producer in hip hop. Guru is highly respected, highly loved for a reason. Put them two together, they made a run of the greatest albums in hip hop. That's what I need to say. So
agreed.
Hold on, there was another one. Oh yeah, shit, I got one more, but it won't take long. Mobb Deep only has one good album.
Oh wow, okay. Did they say what the album was?
Nah, just Mobb Deep only has one good album. I'm guessing that was the Infamous. Again, this one doesn't need much time. Hell on Earth is one of the greatest albums in hip hop. 4.5 mics in the Source when it came out, when the Source was the Source before all the nonsense, when they just were not giving out 5 mics.
Not giving fives, man.
Probably Prodigy's best rapping performance.
I would say so.
Album.
And Havoc's, I'd say.
Hell on Earth, Animal Instinct, God Part 3, all of those tunes, even that what's the tune where he's going at Tupac?
Drop a gem on him.
Drop a gem on him. Like that's a diss track, bro.
Yeah.
He's talking some shit on there. So
he is.
How you could ever say that album isn't fantastic? Again, makes no sense. Murder Music, again, tune after tune. Prodigy and Havoc's beats were still evolving. Prodigy was still dropping fire verses. I even like America's Nightmare. I like the album.
Yeah.
I like some tunes on Blood Money, but I didn't like the direction that they were going in with G Unit. It just
the G Unit thing, yeah. I do like the album.
I haven't listened to it in a long, probably since it came out, if I'm honest, but I need to revisit that, to be honest. Yeah, it just didn't feel like Mobb to me. It felt weird, just with the whole G Unit thing and Mobb Deep. I don't know. You
definitely sense the change of shift in direction.
Yeah, because I was like, then you've got to make music that is not your sound. You've got to make Interscope Records music. So yeah, I don't know. I listened to it maybe a few times and I didn't go back to it. So I need to revisit that album. But yeah, again, I don't need to spend much time on this one. Ridiculous take. Anyone who listens to Mobb Deep or hip hop will tell you that Mobb Deep probably has one of the greatest 3 album runs in hip hop history.
Yeah.
I don't know many people that would dispute that. So to say they only had one album, you maybe only heard that one album. So
that's what I was going to say. You probably haven't heard much because, for me, like you said, man, it's not worth spending much time on that. Any album you pick, even if we spoke to that person and said, well, what album are you referring to? Any album he or she picks, there's going to be others that be like, what? So you don't like this? Do you know what I mean? the thing is, like you said, everyone's got opinions and everyone can like have their likes. And like I've had to say on a timeline so many times, personal preference. I get that.
Absolutely, yeah.
But if you like Infamous, you can't not like Hell on Earth or Murder Music. Do you know what I mean? Or if you like Murder Music, you can't not like Hell. Do you know what I mean? So any
It's literally just like a continuation. Right.
It's easier to say you don't like Mobb Deep.
They're actually improving. If you listen to Havoc's beats on Hell on Earth, like he's improved from what he did on.
It's my favorite Mobb Deep album, definitely.
And I don't mean whether it's better or not. I mean, if you listen to his beats, some of the ones on Infamous, you could tell why Q-Tip has had to come in and polish things and make things a bit. Q-Tip didn't need to come in on the second album because Havoc was more. He was more seasoned. He was more coming into his own. He found his sound, and he stuck to that dark hip hop sound throughout the whole album. That album was dark as hell. Murder Music wasn't as dark,
definitely, bro,
but it was still fire. And again, he had evolved his sound again. So it wasn't the same as Infamous. It wasn't the same as Hell on Earth, but it was still Mobb Deep. So for him to achieve that over 3 albums, be the sole producer, killed it. So
definitely, man.
Right, man. So the next one, man, I think we need to kind of keep this as sweet as possible.
Yeah, we'll fly.
But yeah, it's your free personal controversial opinions.
Okay.
So I'm just going to give you my you can go first, but I'll give you my 3 like real quick, like a machine gun.
Yeah, definitely. All right, jump to go. Yeah. So so I'd say. Most people know, but I'm not a De La Soul fan. I'd say that's and remember what this is. This is controversial comments, all right?
End the podcast.
And whenever
now.
I mention
End the podcast now.
I'm sorry, man. I'm not. Man. Every time I mention that, I get responses like that. The thing is that sorry, I might have to put an advert out, bro. I'm mature enough to respect the legacy of De La Soul, though. Do you know what I mean? I respect the legacy, man. I really do. I'm never going to try and take away what they've done for hip hop or who they are in hip hop, man. Just for me personally, on a personal level, I've never, and I can hear things I like. That track that they done on the new Crisis drop, that's in rotation, heavy rotation for me. I can't. The title's gone for me. Sorry, and obviously Stakes is high. Do you know what I mean? So they've done things that I like. But would I ever put a De La Soul album in and say, let me listen to the whole thing or put it on? And nah, I wouldn't. But yeah, to keep it short and sweet.
Not
so
even
apologies.
Album, De La Soul is Dead album.
Definitely not early De La Soul. If anything, it would be Stakes is High. If anything. And that's more because of the production.
Stakes is High is so good. Like
yeah, it's more the production on that. But I couldn't even comment on it that much because I probably spun it once. And maybe not even all the way through. And someone may listen to this and say, well, how can you say you don't like them? That's why I didn't spin it all the way through, because I don't like them. Do you know what I'm saying? But like I said, it's no disrespect to them, because I really do. It's not like I look at some people and say, bro, why are these people so big?
You don't have to
it's
like
just,
them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, so no.
I don't understand why you don't like them, but it's personal preference. You might not understand why I don't eat red meat, but that's my personal preference. So
right,
it's one of them things.
Yeah.
All right. What's the next one?
All right. Illmatic. Once again, no hating on Nas. I've gave you the whole J spill and all that, so I'm not going to go through it again. But Illmatic for me, like I've done something on Twitter recently. When you think of a 5 Mic album, what do you think of? I think Illmatic's got to be the one that was put up the most. Bro, it's a good album. Like it's a good album, but I genuinely don't understand, and I lived it, so it's not even like you didn't live it. I generally don't see why it's heralded as like the greatest hip hop album of all time. I just don't believe it is. For me, there's quite a few, and I'm not going to start listing them just for time's sake, but for me personally, there's quite a few hip hop albums I put over Illmatic, and I lived with it. I do. East Coast hip hop is actually my favorite sound. I'm just throwing out the things that people may say, well, maybe it's because of this, and that. It's not. I like Nas. I think he's a top tier MC. It was written as my favorite Nas album, but just Illmatic, I feel, I don't know, I think people treat it like it's the 10 Commandments, man, like it's the Bible. Shout out to Yinz. He always uses that Moses gift. But yeah, for me, I respect it and I like it. But I'll put it was written in.
I've just got to say that that's down to personal taste, because it's not the greatest thing that's ever happened to hip hop. I don't agree with that at all.
Right.
But
people would argue that though.
Yeah, for sure. They can all day, but it's not. But I understand fully why it's revered as it is, because Nas, before he dropped the album, was revered as like the golden child of hip hop before the album came out. Large Professor,
definitely.
assembling Primo, Pete Rock, himself, Q-Tip. That wasn't really happening much when that album came out. It was mostly one MC, one producer, or a group, one producer. There wasn't really much albums of multi top tier producers coming around the table to produce for this next level MC. So
that's the concept then.
That's why it was so, at the time, it was so revered. And then he dropped It Ain't Hard to Tell. And that was like the Michael Jackson sample. The beat was just great. The rapping, like everything about that song is just chef's kiss. So I totally understand why. Then when the album came out, but I understand why people go against it, because they say, okay, so there's 9 songs, there's a skit,
right?
So let's say there's 8 songs.
8 songs.
And then one of them no one likes, One Time for Your Mind. Not a lot of people like that song. So they say, okay, so there's 7 songs. So how can you say that that's great or whatever? But then on the same hand, you say Daytona was the best album of 2018, because that's only got 7 songs. So like, you know, make your mind up. Which one is it? Illmatic for me is an amazing achievement. He was 19 or so when he wrote it, and to have songs like what he's got, Memory Lane, The World Is Yours,
is my favorite
mind. For him to have and New York State of Mind, for him to have that level of song, I totally understand. I really understand why people have it revered so high. I revere it very highly for all the reasons I've just stated. I don't revere it as the hip hop Bible at all, because I don't think there is one album in hip hop. If there was a more important album in hip hop, I'd probably say it was the Public Enemy album.
Right, I would take that over the Nas album.
But I understand why people wouldn't, because they would say Nas's
rapping.
Nas's rapping is way better than Chuck D, and there's no kind of Flavor Flav doing the court jester bit and whatever. But I totally understand why people who grew up in the 80s and whatever would hold the Public Enemy album so high, because the songs of the album was just incredible. I mean, I was in primary school doing Public Enemy logos on my flipping. I had no business being like 8 years old or whatever doing Public Enemy logo. That's why I got that logo tattooed on my skin now, because that logo has been with me from a kid. That logo meant a lot to me. So I fully understand why people love Illmatic, and I totally get everything about it. For me personally, it's not the album in hip hop, but it is 5 mics. I will never say it's not a 5 mic super classic album. And that's as much as I can say. I understand. I really get it.
And that was my point. Like, it's not saying that it's whack by any means. I've been saying to say it is. Like I said, I lived it in real time. I'm not saying that at all. But my thing, the controversial statement, was just that if you asked 100 hip hop fans, what do you think the best hip hop album is of all time? All ages, you know, bro, like all different ages. Most of them would say Illmatic. And for me, I feel
they've been conditioned to, because the whole
you took the words out of my mouth.
The whole 5 mics thing at the time, when it got 5 mics, that's when people were like, "Oh shit!" So on top of everything else that I've explained about the producers and Nas being the next coming, Nas being the next Rakim. Remember, he was being compared to
you had Rakim holding him up in the sauce.
Exactly. So all of that, coupled with the 5 mic rating, coupled with the great single that came out, coupled with his live at the barbecue, scene stealing verse.
Guard Your Grill, when you come out with that, not Guard Your Grill, so that's one by nature.
Tune. Exactly, man.
Yeah,
MC Ren.
Back to the Grill again. I know what you mean.
MC Search, sorry, MC Ren. So there's a lot to throw in that gumbo. There's a lot.
But that's my point, though. I feel like we're conditioned to think that, like, we have to. I feel like it's almost like
But we're not
hip
conditioned
hop to
because we
say
was there.
it.
I saw all of this. I saw the
Yeah,
last.
and I don't think it's the best of all time, but like I
But
feel
that's
like
why.
people feel like they need to say that it is.
Yeah, I think people feel they need to say it because they hear everybody else saying it. But
Right.
the reason I know why everybody else and not the people that are just saying it because they believe it's the right thing to say, the people that are genuinely saying it, they were there to see Large Professor on a Tribe album saying Queens represent by the album when I drop it, and Nas is on top it and all that, and the MC Search verse and everything I've just said. They were there to see that massive lead up to to one of the things that they're like, oh, this is gonna be amazing. And when you play it and you hear Life's a Bitch and you hear all of those songs, the first time I played it, I was blown away, bro, blown away, because who else was rapping like Nas at that time? No one. The closest you got was Cool G Rap. Like, to be rapping at that level, and he was 19.
No, of course, definitely. No, I get
That's
that.
why, bro.
100%.
There's reasons. Like, so I can completely understand why, but I can also understand why Nas don't want to talk about it no more. Like, I could 100% understand, because he's like, bro, I was a kid. I don't want to talk about whatever I was doing when I was 19. For him, he's lived it. He did it. It's a piece of work. He was a kid when he made it. Now he's a 45, 50-year-old man, whatever. I don't want to still be talking about something I did when I was 19 if I did it 30 years ago. So I totally understand why he's like, I don't want to talk about it no more. But as an album, that will always be a very important part of hip hop. So I totally understand why people.
Last question then. Yeah. Last question before I move on. Do you feel, if you had to pick either or, then do you feel that people say Illmatic because of the quality or the impact?
Both.
If you had to pick one, though, what do you say?
I'd say the quality.
You'd say the quality?
Yeah, okay. Because impact-wise, if we're talking sales, it didn't go platinum for years.
Not even sales then, but just the impact on the culture.
Impact on the culture. A lot of people wanted to rap like Nas. More people were having multiple producers on their albums. So if you notice, Premier was on every staple New York album after Illmatic. He was on Ready to Die. He was on Reasonable Doubt. He was on Life After Death. He did the J Root album. DJ Premier after that went through the roof, because before that he was just doing Gangstar and a few remixes and stuff like that. But you're on the Illmatic album, you're put over the top. So that album had a massive impact culturally. More people wanted to rap like Nas. How many people have paid homage to that album?
Of course, man.
With the same baby out on the album cover, and all of that kind of stuff. Like, it's many people. Elzai did a whole flipping tribute. Did a whole remake album of it. How many people have done remake albums? I think Skyzoo did a remake of Reasonable Doubt.
Yeah.
But those are the only two that I really know that have been like remade top to bottom. But bro,
so it's more of an impact thing then. That's what I'm feeling. It's more of an impact thing.
But
when I'm looking at albums, I'm looking at quality. Like, see, this sounds like, I know I'm going to get gunned down for this, bro. And I'm not saying it doesn't have the quality. Of course it does. But I'm saying that when people look at Illmatic, I feel that they put it as the best album of all time more because of an impact thing rather than a quality thing. I think, even though it is quality, of course.
Because of the beats. Pete Rock's beat on there is immaculate. Q-Tip's beat on there is immaculate. DJ Premier's beats on there are immaculate. And these are probably still the top 3 producers in and around hip hop. Like, people still put them in their top 5 to this day. So I don't know how it cannot be looked at as quality. It's literally got both. So it's difficult to pick which one is it.
Because it's got both.
Because the reason is it's got both. It had impact and it was a great album. But if I had to say one over the other, when people press play on that album, they were like,
both.
Shit. They were like, wow. Pete Rock and Nas, Primo and Nas, Q-Tip and Nas. Like, bro, like if Nas announced today he's doing an album with Pete Rock, Premier, and Q-Tip, Twitter would melt.
Yeah, of course, man.
To this day, of course, because they know that it's going to be of a certain quality.
And they know that
those producers don't play around. They're not going to give you whack beats. So everyone will be like, wow, I wonder how Nas is going to come on this one. To this day, bro, 30 years later, people would still press play on a Nas album produced by Pete Rock, Primo, and Q-Tip.
No doubt, 100%.
So
100%.
for me, it's quality because they know.
Bro, I know it's controversial comment, so I'll put myself out there. I know I'm going to get gunned down for that. But anyway, I'm going to throw out my last one as well. Man, I feel like going off the back of the Nas statement, I'm really setting myself up here. But anyway, I think Kendrick Lamar is a good MC at best. Like, I think I don't really like using the word overrated because everyone has their fans. So I don't really want to say overrated. So let me word it like that. I think he's a good MC at best. I'm never blown away by Kendrick. Like, I think he's a good MC. I think he's a good conceptual rapper. His albums are good. Like, the thought behind them is good. He's a good artist. But the way people like bow down and worship him confuses me, man. I feel like if Kendrick came out years before he did, he wouldn't get the accolade he gets now. I think we're in a time where he's needed. So that's why he gets all the accolades he gets, because it's almost like it was refreshing to have someone like Kendrick in a time. And I think that's why it puts him up there. But I think he's a good MC at best. I wouldn't put him as like the greatest. I hear a lot of people say he's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time, or the greatest of all time, or what have you. I personally don't see that. What's your thoughts on that?
Do you think "Sing About Me, Dying of Thirst" is good? Average?
I do. No, I think it's good. Beyond average.
You think that song is just good?
But that's what I'm saying. He does good songs, his concepts. But once
that song is incredible for me.
But you can have an incredible song, bro.
But it's not just a song. What he's talking about, how he raps it, everything is immaculate MCing from start to finish on a 7-minute song. Immaculate MCing. Black of the Berry, is that an average? Is that
no?
Average?
That's. It's a needed song. It's an important song. I showed it to many people.
Right. What's the other song on Good Kid, Mad City? Money Trees.
Money Trees, yeah. J-Rock.
Is Money Trees is just a good song.
Yeah. I think it's a good song. See, for me, like,
I can't agree with that. I'm not the biggest Kendrick fan at all. I think makes good albums.
He does, but the thing is, I'm thinking, if we're looking at an MC and what they're putting out, I think he puts out quality. I think his albums are good. There's no doubt about that. I prefer Good Kid over Black of the Berry. Sorry, To Pimp a Butterfly. We've spoken about that before. And I think his stuff is needed. You see what I'm saying? I think it's needed and it's important. But I think sometimes we can look at something as being good or very good and think, right, because of that, this person is the greatest of all time. Bro, you look at the NBA, everyone should be able to play at a high level, isn't it? It's the NBA. Like, everyone should be good at what they're doing if they're in a field.
Rap though, bro. Soulja Boy.
No, of course. But let's say, but really, technically, you should be able to. We know nowadays it's not
technically
the case.
Yeah, but he's in a different era now.
No,
he's
100%.
in the era where you can just plug some shit in your laptop and talk nonsense and it'll go viral.
But you're proving
he's
my
not
point.
doing that.
But you're saying what I'm saying. I feel that because he's not doing that, he's elevated to
he stands out in a sea of shit. Yeah, he does.
Right, exactly.
But my point to you is those songs that I mentioned, an average MC can't make those songs.
No, he's better than average.
If you're just a free mic MC, you're not making those songs. And those are just off the top of my head. If I really sat down and went through a list of the songs that he's done, then there's no way an average to good MC is making those songs. No way. Like, you'd have to be of a certain level of MC to make the songs that he's
to pull off those songs. You're not a list man, yeah?
Yeah.
You're not a list man.
No.
But let's just say, for argument's sake, you are, and someone asks you to do a top 10. Would Kendrick be on that?
No, but there's a million
Right.
MCs. So to have
There
a top,
is.
but to have a top 10, that's why I don't do lists, because I can change it literally every day. If I if I go and revisit albums that I might have forgotten about, because there's a billion albums that I've listened to in my lifetime, I might change it again tomorrow and go like, oh yeah, this guy. So I don't do lists because it's never going to stay static. It's never going to be the same 10 forever.
It
I
evolves.
can just say Big is my favorite for these reasons. These are the reasons that Big is my favorite of all time, and that's not going to change because he's gone now, and no one that's going to come now is going to be better than him. Simple as that. So I can say he's my favorite ever rapper. Redman was my favorite for a period of time. Who else did I have? Fonte is probably my favorite rapper today in 2021, and he has been for probably about 10 years or so. So in my lifetime, I've had Big, I've had Redman, and I've had Fonte, who have been my favorite rappers at certain periods in time. So they would be among my top 5 personally, my personal favorites, not who I think would be overall on the GOATs list. If I was doing a list, Kendrick wouldn't be on the top 10. If I had to judge his discography, it would be very high, because he makes albums that have a good replay value, that are very well thought out, that have good songs, good production, a theme, good rapping. He covers pretty much all.
But he still wouldn't be on your GOAT list.
Only because there's so many other rappers. That's literally
right.
But he's not average or good. For me, he is a very good MC, a very good rapper. Because to make the songs that he's made, you just can't, like, Big Sean and people like that can't make a song like Die in the First, where he's rapping from how many perspectives. Could Wale make Black of the Berry? No, he can't. Like, you can't make those songs if you're not of a certain level of MC. If you listen to what the man is saying, and the only thing I don't like about Kendrick is when he does these voices.
He does too much.
That's what
I'm bringing all that into the equation, and if I can't sit in, he does too much for me. He does too much for me. So I'm bringing all that in.
He does some kind of meandering thing on some tunes that I don't really care for. But when he's just rapping, what's that tune? Politics, some Ghetto Politics or something on Pimp a Butterfly. He is going hard on that tune. Hard. That tune, something, boo boo. Yes, Hood Politics, I think it is.
I've not given it that much because of.
Listen, when you come off this, listen to that tune and tell me he ain't going hard through the whole tune. And if you listen to what he's actually saying, he's talking about when he met Jay-Z, and Jay-Z said to him, "You're gonna fuck things up because of that control verse that you did." Like, you need to listen to that song. So songs like that, "Sing About Me" is one of the best hip hop songs.
No, yeah, it's incredible. Definitely.
Simple, incredible. Your average MC cannot make that tune. Simple as that. For me.
No, I agree with what you're saying, but that's what I'm saying. For me, with all those things into the equation, there are moments of excellence, definitely. But what I'm saying is, because of those moments of excellence, he's elevated to a godlike status in hip hop.
Yeah, but we know why. He's a saint among a sea of shit.
Right.
Which is fine because it's not his fault. This is where he came up. But
no, not blaming him at all.
Put some of his songs against any in hip hop. That's what I'm saying. You could put some of his tunes against anything that's come out, and you could say that is a very high level rap song. Duckworth, where he tells that whole story. Like, come on, man.
No. I think that whole album. I think that's a great rapper, very good album.
It's very good, talented, smart, clever, and yeah, just some of the. I don't think some of his fan base really understand what he's saying in a lot of these tunes. I think they just like wordplay or how he sounds and stuff. Because I saw a lot of these little white kids revering to Pimp a Butterfly, and I'm like, have you actually listened to this album? Because if you've actually listened to what the man's saying, I don't think you'd be a big fan of this album, if I'm being completely honest with you. If you listen to Complexion and Black of the Berry, of course, because I don't think a lot of them could understand the patois chorus. So they chat about you used to leave scars on my back. Now I've got a big whip, parts on the block, and all that. Like, they're talking some stuff on them tunes. Kendrick weaves some social commentary in his songs. as I said, I'm not a big fan, but I can respect that he's.
You think he deserves the props he gets?
I think he gets too many props, but that's because I said he's a
that's what I'm
saint.
saying.
He's a saint in a sea of shit. He is revered because of the era he came in. But if you could put some of his music is gonna last for a long time. I'm telling you, it will, because some of it is that good. It will last. And music that lasts, we tend, as we were just saying about the 90s rappers, Kendrick's music is going to last because he's made songs that are timeless. I can listen to Sing About Me at any point in time. That song's already 6 years old.
Yeah.
And I've played it. That song will soon be 10 years old. Before we blink, it's going to be 10 years old. And it's still going to sound good. So
no, I hear that. Yeah.
An average rapper can't do that.
For me. I'm literally laughing to myself because the more you talk, the more you're actually saying what I'm saying. I'm literally saying the same thing. Like, I agree with what you're saying. When I say he's a good MC at best, I mean, yeah, and good. We live in a day and age where good is almost frowned upon. Like, you can't
good
be
for
good
me
anymore.
Is like free mics. He's not a free mic rapper.
Okay. I definitely, if we're mic rating him as an MC, for me, yeah, okay, yeah, I'd say 3.5 mics as an MC. Do you know what I mean? but he gives you 4 mic projects. I think that's the best way I can explain how I feel about him. I think he does too much in some of his music. Like, for me, I need to listen to him in bits. I can't listen to too much Kendrick.
He does.
So for me, as a consumer, as a recipient of his music, if that's how I feel, I can't rate him as highly as everyone else is. But there's no doubt that the material he gives you is a 4 mic material minimum. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying albums are rated at 4 mics, but what he gives you, the thought behind them, 4 mic beyond, definitely. But just him as an MC, as listening to him, sometimes I need to be in the right mood, man, because sometimes he just does too much for me sometimes.
Go back and listen to Hood Politics and then message me and tell me what you think of that song.
No. Yeah, I would definitely say that I haven't spun them in a while. There's no doubt about that.
Hood Politics,
Duckworth I've heard recently because I was listening to Damn recently, and I think it's a dope album. Yeah.
Right. What's that song? The one where it sounds like he's in Boys in the Hood, and he's talking about being in the car with his homies.
Oh yeah.
Average rappers ain't making that tune. They're not.
No, hey.
So yeah, for me, he's a very good rapper. So I'd put him. He's definitely got moments where he's hit 5 mics for me as a rapper. There's definitely moments where I'm like, wow, that's first time I heard Black of the Berry. I thought that was a fantastic performance. Sing About Me was fantastic, and the other ones I've listed, I thought that they were like really, really good. But then he's got moments where he pisses me off, where he's doing all these weird voices, Swimming Pool. I like the beat, but I didn't like him over the beat. So yeah, there's moments where I'm just like, oh, okay. So yeah, I get it, and I get why he's revered heavily. I totally get it. I understand. But for me, skills wise, I've got to give him his props, man. He's way better than J. Cole for me. J. Cole is just
I can listen to J. Cole. He's easier to listen to.
He's continually compared to him, and they grew up, they're homies or whatever. So that's the only reason I'm bringing him into it. But I can't listen to J. Cole more than once because I'm just bored. I'm literally Kendrick doesn't bore me.
J. Cole's easier to listen to, I think, for me.
If we're talking about rapping ability, mundane, very monotone, and he's doing this singing shit now, and
see, times like nostalgia. When I think about verses like that, I think, right, that's an incredible verse. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
He's never done it for me, man. His mixtapes I thought was okay. His mixtapes were good, but when he did albums, I was just nah. I've never played one of his albums more than maybe twice, and his last few, I played one in the gym. I was just laughing to myself, like,
wow.
I think it was KOD, the KOD album.
Yeah. I actually don't think that's bad, bro.
I played through that, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? And what he did before that, I can't remember what it's called now.
Before KL. Oh no, For Your Eyes or something.
For Your Eyes, yeah, For Your Eyes
Yeah,
only.
I didn't
Garbage.
like that at all, man.
So
I thought KLD
yeah,
was all right.
I'll never revisit his. I don't think I've got any. Maybe one. Maybe Forest Hills Drive. I think is the only J. Cole album I've got on my phone. I've got nearly about 400 gig or something on my phone of music, and J. Cole holds one album on there. Like that's how much I rate him. Yeah. So, but anyway, we're going off piece.
Yeah, bro, you hit us with your free, man.
I'm gonna make this quick, man, because we run way over time.
Yeah,
so.
we have. I know. Well, we're making up for lost time, innit? We was off here for a few weeks.
It's been good. So, Ti, I've never understood the appeal, and it's not because I'm not from down south, as people might say. Yo, you're not from Alabama.
That's coming, bro.
Yeah, therefore you don't understand it down here. No, it's not that. Because I was listening to down south music from the early 90s with UGK and 8 Ball and MJG and Outkast, and then I was into the Hot Boys and Project Pat and 3 6 Mafia, and I like the David Banner album, Mississippi. I've always been Goody Mob, as I'm continually telling people how brilliant that album is. So don't hit me with none of that bullshit about I don't like down south, because I love a lot of down south stuff, and on top of that, I don't give a fuck about regions. I'm from the UK, via Jamaica and Montserrat, so I'm not interested in your regional whatever. I don't care about that. If it's good, it's good. Ti, I've never liked his voice. I don't like the plink plonk beats that he's rapped over. The songs he's done with Swiss Beats just hurt my ears. Like I just literally don't understand how he's so, and like his big songs like Whatever You Like and stuff like, I just didn't get it. I just never understood his appeal. I like 24s and I liked Rubber Band Man, and I think those are literally the only 2 songs from him that I liked. But I just don't like his rapping. I can't take his voice. His voice pisses me off. Like, it annoys me. It's so high pitched, and his drawl. I hate it, man. I just don't get it. Yeah, and there's so many like Southern artists that I like. I thought initially, maybe, but no, it's nothing to do with that. I just don't like him. And when people are saying, "Oh, he'll be a match for Jay-Z," I'm just, what are you talking about, man?
I like the first single he dropped, with the Jay-Z sample. Was that the first single?
Bring Him Out.
It was. I might be Bring Him Out. Was that his first single?
Bring Him Out was on Trap Music, I think. That was his first album that I was aware of was I'm Serious.
Yeah, that's the one. I like. I didn't pay no attention to that, to be honest with you. No. I like a few little bits and pieces. I love the Atlanta accent, so I like his accent. But I've never considered myself as a fan.
Accent. He says some word. I'm just like, I don't know. He's got this drawl. He's got this. I don't know, man. I don't know. He sounds like he should be like chewing straw and spitting tobacco and banging his sister. Or,
oh wow!
I don't know, man. I just don't like it. I just don't like it at all. Like if Ti comes on, I'm turned off. Like I'm not interested. So yeah, I think he's garbage personally. But my next one is Benny. For me, I really hope with his Def Jam contract or whatever, and Tanner Talk 4 coming out, that he kind of just gets back to what he was doing, because I'm not a fan of the whatever it was he's done after Plugs I Met. After Plugs I Met, he did Plugs I Met 2, which I think is an insult to the brand of Plugs I Met. How dare you call that part 2 to what was a brilliant part 1?
Yeah, every track was hard on 1.
Every track was hard. And then you bring out part 2 with Harry Fraud, and it's just fraudulent.
Yeah.
Like, to call that Plugs 2 was just, I didn't get it. I did not like the album with Hit Boy. It just didn't, it felt like a reach to me. And I don't need him to be only Alchemist and only Derringer. I don't care who he works with as long as it's dope. And I just didn't think him and Hit Boy were a good combo. Burden of Trash, I just didn't like it at all, man. And I remember when it dropped and people were like, "Oh, you just don't like it because he's not over Derringer," and that. I'm like, how the fuck are you telling me what I don't like and why I don't like it? I don't like it because it sounds forced. Him over this glossy production just doesn't work for me. Benny the Butcher over Hit Boy's over polished sound doesn't work for me. It's nothing to do with I want him over. I would never be like, I need you only over this producer. That's ridiculous. I just don't like it. It's simple as that. So for me, I was questioning, has Benny kind of, because Conway was still putting out some hard shit. I liked his song over Hit Boy. I just didn't like the feature he had on the song, but I liked him over a Hit Boy beat. So anyone talking that is talking bullshit. I just don't like Benny over them beats. It didn't sound authentic. It sounded put together. It's like, oh, why not get Hit Boy? Because he can make this kind of sound.
He's doing this right there.
Yeah, like it didn't sound like organic. You can him and Darren just sounds organic because they have a relationship. You can tell him and Hit Boy don't have that relationship because it just didn't sound good to me. A few people agreed with me. They were like, yeah, I'm not feeling this direction of Benny. So
I probably like about 2 tracks. That's probably about it.
I think
I'll
like
probably revisit about 2 songs.
Yeah, I think I like 3 songs off it. And again, if we're talking 3 songs out of 12 or however many was on there,
it's not a good
ratio. That's not a good ratio. So yeah, that was my second one. And my last one was, oh God, I had it, but it's gone. It's gone. Can't remember what it was. So yeah, you're already going to get 2 out of me, and I remember.
No, that's all good. That's all good.
But yeah, okay. You can have those 2, man. I remember what it was now. Eminem, Marshall Mathers, hasn't made an album that is good, that sounds good to me, that I enjoy since 2002.
No, definitely.
20 years. 20 years. That's a long time. That's a very long time to make. If we're talking encore, we're talking revival, we're talking recovery, we're talking Marshall Mathers LP2. We're talking. I listened to Relapse the other day because I was in the car with my son, and I was just flicking through the phone, like trying to find something to listen to, and I just went, oh, like let me just scroll and just wait until it stops, and then I'll just pick
play that. Yeah,
because I got so much on there. I just went, let me scroll, stop, and it stopped on Relapse, and I was like, I ain't heard this for a while. It might sound better now, bro. That is a terrible album.
Relapse
bro.
is awful, bro.
That is. But I've seen people on Twitter like, that's Eminem's best album. It's this, it's that. I'm like, I don't care how much you love that boy. That is a hot garbage of an album. Considering Dr. Dre did most of those beats as well. If I'm waiting for Eminem and over Dr. Dre beats, because that's pretty much the first time Dr. Dre has done the majority. Because on his albums mainly, Dre does like 4 or 5 tunes max, and the rest was like the Bass Brothers, or Eminem himself. So to hear that album with Dre, it was not good, man. It was bad. And I was a very big Eminem fan when he first came out. Blonde Eminem, doing the freestyles and just being irreverent and just being like a bit of a clown, just making fun of people and making fun of the mainstream, but then to see him become what he was taking the piss out of for so many years was weird to me. He literally became what he was mocking for how many years.
Yeah.
I liked the D12 album as well, the first one. There were some tunes on there that I liked.
Devil's Night. No, that was the second one.
That was the first album. Apart from Bizarre, which was just bizarre. Like I don't understand why he's just ridiculous. But the rest I think it was a good album. There was some like Instigator and
that wasn't too bad actually.
There was a few tunes on there, man. So I like that album too. So Eminem for a while, like from like 99 to when did Devil's Night come out? I think it might have been 2001 actually, something around there, early 2000s it was.
Early 2000s. I can't remember the year exactly.
Then Eminem
it was
show
before Eminem show. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I wasn't. I know some people have it as his best album, but for me, I didn't like it. Like when I remember when I first took it home and I played it, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like the beats, man.
I thought Eminem show was hard, man. I liked it.
Over time,
it's the last album I enjoyed from him.
Over time, it got better. Like the last half of it, I like, But the first half, Square Dance and White America and songs like that, the beats were not good, man. And I don't like Eminem's production. It sounds like someone who's got no rhythm makes those beats. Very off. Like some of his drums are off, and his keyboards are not good, and his bass lines are trash. Everything about his music, it just sounds very, very just all over the place. Like literally someone who's got no concept of rhythm has put those beats. If you literally really listen to Eminem productions, it's bad. Like it's not well done. So his beats turned me off. His rapping, of course, was really good on that album. But in Encore, I could tell something was not right. And then he came out later and he was like, I don't even remember that album. Like,
it was a mess.
Yeah. That made sense because you go back and listen to songs like Puke and stuff, and you're like, yeah, that was just ridiculous. That was a mess. So yeah, since 2002, I haven't enjoyed an Eminem. Like, even if he dropped an album, let's say like he dropped whatever that shit was last year, murder
music
shit.
to be murdered by.
It took me a long time. I still haven't listened to all of part 2 because I couldn't finish it.
I haven't listened to part 2. I've only listened.
I listened to maybe the first maybe 3 songs, and I couldn't do it, man. It was almost painful to listen to because I was such a big fan of the first iteration of Eminem when he was with the Outsiders and all of that stuff. Like, to see him what he's become, man, it's kind of sad. And to see like what he's become, and now he's like the greatest ever on Twitter amongst like white America.
I can't listen to him now. He's actually unlistenable for me.
It's just bad music to me. It's bad music. It's just not good. And what really pisses me off is I know he's capable of more. I know
he's trying too hard, though. I don't know if he is, you know, bro.
He said it himself, like, because when he made the Revival album, and everyone was like, "Bro, what the hell is this?" And then he came back with that Kamikaze album, and he went, "I tried not to overthink this one. Enjoy." So I thought, okay, so he recognizes that he messed up on the last album.
Yeah,
let's go for this one. I'll press play. And again, he's just doing too much, man.
He's trying too hard now. I don't think he can do it
speed rapping and blah, 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 and all this stuff, and his punchlines don't hit like they used to. Like, they're just bad punchlines. They're like dad jokes. Like, they're just not. Like, he's making like toilet humor jokes, and he's like 50. Like, I don't know, man. It's just, I would love for him to come out of just an album of him with his old, and I know like you can't wish for the stuff that came before, like hearing like Marshall Mathers LP Eminem in 2021 ain't gonna happen because he ain't gonna chat about killing his missus and that kind of stuff. But that style of rapping that he used, I would love to hear him go back in that kind of bag over some dope production. I would love that. I'd think that would be dope, but I know he's never going to do it now. He's going to stick to. He's got access to the greatest producers. Anyone will make a beat for him, and he literally chooses not to. And I don't know, man. I can't. I literally can't listen to his music anymore.
It's literally that for me as well. Yeah. He's trying too hard, man. It's grinding. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. His voice mixed with those terrible beats. He did a song with Ed Sheeran on the first part of that music to be met. It was just it was just so bad, man. So yeah, I don't know with him. If he said he's dropping an album tomorrow again, I'd just be very skeptical about listening to it. And that just wouldn't have been me 20 years ago. I would just be like, yo, Eminem, that. But yeah, so for me, man, yeah,
I'd agree with you. Eminem Show was the last album I enjoyed from him, literally. Yeah, I'd agree with you, man.
Yeah, man. So it's been a long one. So I hope that
I don't even know. We went in the zone that one, man.
Or if you had to watch it in 2 parts or maybe even 3 or 4, that's all good. But yeah, we had a bit of fun with that one, man, because we were going through the comments just like, what is this? Like, we couldn't believe some of the stuff, man. So
100, man.
Yeah, man. So yeah, just big up, man, for everyone that made this week's episode what it was. Without your comments, we wouldn't have made this one. So big up for that. Big up for staying with us
Definitely.
and checking us out. So we'll be back next week with another topic. And be safe and be well. Look after yourselves and your families.
Definitely, man.
And yeah, man, it's peace from me.
Much love, man. Peace from me, man.
See you on the
Thanks
next
for
one.
rocking with us, man. Peace, yeah. Take care, man.